start logging in, you can kind of start peeking at what Chef Scott Warner's brought for us today. We'll do like an official start here in just another minute. So this is a sneak peek.
Can you see everything?
See how the sausage is made. Although today I guess it's how the favas are made.
What the heck to do with favas? What are favas?
What to do with favas?
Yes.
All right. Good?
Yeah, just turn it off for a while and now it's getting a little too hot.
All right, so it looks like we have people logging onto our virtual system, and welcome everybody on Facebook Live. I'm Chris Kajani. I'm the winemaker general manager here at Blue Shade Vineyards. Thank you for joining us for another Be Together broadcast. We're psyched to show you some recipes and invite you into our kitchen, and to have Chef Scott Warner with Don Giovanni, my favorite restaurant, here today to show us what the heck, what the heck to do with favas. So what did you bring, Chef?
Well, I was thinking of doing our famous salmon dish this week, but since I checked the garden and we had some favas ready, thought that's be seasonal, and it's kind of reminds me that it's about Easter time when we have favas in the garden. And this one goes out to my mom, who usually comes up for Easter, and I serve fried favas. Since I can't do it for you, we're gonna have to over the internet.
She'll get double next year.
Yes, double next year. So this, if you haven't ever had fava beans before, these are the leaves. I think last week we put them in in one of our salads. So that's one of the things you can do. You cut off the little tender leaves are great in a salad, or you can saute them, kind of like pea shoots. So
and
that's
those are
one.
The flowers? Those are so pretty.
No, these are some chive, garlic blossoms, which we're gonna garnish our crostini, our bruschetta later on. Everything in the garden. Plant an edible garden, especially for times like this. Avoid having to go to the market as much. So we have some mint, a little arugula, and chive blossoms, and prosciutto that's going to accompany our bruschetta of fava beans. We've done a little bit of the work ahead of time. As you'll find out, like all my prep cooks at the restaurant, that springtime is a lot of work for prepping. They hate it. They're happy for summer to come and just some sliced tomatoes. So I've done a little bit. They're time consuming. So, but we're going to show you another way which is much less time consuming. But these ones, you have to just shell them like peas, pop them out of there. And then for that bruschetta, we're going to, these ones are young and tender enough, you could just eat them raw like this or blanch them and not peel them again. But there is another thin little layer that you can that has it's a little bitterness to that, which can be balanced with some good olive oil and sweet and Parmesan and other cheese. But if you want the more delicate flavor without so much of the bitterness, the favas, we're going to blanch those. Just put in some boiling water and chuck them in some ice water to stop cooking them, and peel those, and then add some other ingredients to make a bruschetta with our prosciutto and a little arugula. But first, we'll show you the much less time-consuming preparation of favas, and that's a dish I remember having at Chez Panisse, I think about 25 years ago, which was mind-blowingly delicious. Just simply, you take the fava beans when they're young and tender. Before, just take off the little tip there. But you'll see there isn't any string, because as they get older, just like string beans, they're going to get a sinew down the side of the fava bean, and the pod is going to become much more fibrous. When they're young and tender like this, you can fry up the whole thing just like a green bean. So that's what we're going to do. This in a tempura style batter. Last week we just did a simple buttermilk and flour coating that we do with the free meat stove. But this one is a tempura style batter, which you can do for any of these items. Some other things I brought from the garden. Asparagus, not from the garden, but our cauliflower, some little broccoli florets, some greens, carbonara. Those are all different things that you can use in this tempura batter, just as you have a plethora of vegetables when you go to a sushi bar and get their tempura. So here we're going to start with we have cornstarch and flour, about equal. 2 cups of cornstarch and a little bit more, 2.5 cups of flour.
And what does the cornstarch do? Is that part of what lightens that tempura batter?
It makes it extra crispy. And there, I think you can do some rice flour also. Once again, you could make this. I remember doing some dishes in a gluten-free version of this. If you substitute one of those cup for cup, of those gluten-free flour mixes, and the cornstarch, and you can go gluten-free with your fry on gluten-free. Then we're going to add some seasoning, a little salt, about a tablespoon, pepper, and once again the seasoning, depending upon what you're frying, you want to keep it pretty light. We do a little bit of lemon zest. I forgot my zest here today, so we're going to imagine a little microplaning of lemon zest into there, and just a little bit of we'll do 1 garlic clove just to spice it up a little bit. But if you're frying some other things in this batter, like some big slice or thin slice onion rings, you can put some like paprika, make this lots more white pepper, other spices to make it spicy onion rings. So just suit your flavorings to the flour mix, depending upon what you're going to be frying, so it balances the.
Something heavier, like an onion flavor, for example, more.
Yeah, the favas are pretty delicate, so you don't want to overpower them with much. And let's check on our fryer. We went to professional with our deep fryer here today. If you have a thermometer, you're going to keep about 340, 350. It's a little harder to keep constant temperature when you don't have a deep fryer, but just got to turn it up and down a little bit. So we have our seasonings in here. A little bit more pepper. And soda water as bubbles.
So if we used about 2.5 cups of flour
Oops.
for the soda water, you're doing.
We're doing 4 cups
Okay.
of a little short in our lovely water. And you can also done this batter with half beer, half water. If I was doing some fish and chips, this batter is great for fish and chips also. So you can substitute beer, gives a great flavor into the batter. And when you're testing that, you always want to test your batter with one item before you throw everything in there. Just make sure it's coating properly. You want it to be light and crispy, and not doughy and gummy inside. So if it's too doughy, you just add a little bit more water. If it's not coating quite enough, falling off, or not quite thick enough, just add a touch more flour and stir it in. So the more you get used to playing around with the batter, you can be aware of how to adjust it when needed, and you won't need to measure anymore. You'll just see the texture. So we're looking, it's a little bit thin. So we're going to add just a touch more flour. You want it to just coat your finger like a sauce.
Stick just a little bit.
Yeah,
not
just stick a little bit.
turn fully off.
Yeah. And as I was saying last week, you can also take, if you want to, for a garnish, for doing some fried greens, just or herbs like mint or basil leaves or those greens, you can just add more soda water to this. Just make it super thin, and just coat some leaves in this batter. It'll be a real light, nice, perfect garnish for some piece of fish or meat or something.
So it's really flexible. You can go light to a little more full flavor depending on what you're adding in, or if you're using beer or not.
I think that's the problem with measuring cups. Going by weight is always the best way to measure for consistency in a recipe. Because cup measurements sometimes can be not quite fully packed.
Depends on the cup itself.
Yes. Or it's how tight, because flour, I think we're looking good there. So we're coating. It's like a nice sauce. Okay. And just about a tablespoon of olive oil in that batter. Okay. So if you did substituted some rice, or actually even just regular flour, you have a completely vegan dish here. All right. So let's test it up, and with our favas, could you pass me that bowl over there? It's best. I found it best. You get better adhering of the batter if you tossed the dry ingredients in a little flour first, just to coat them. It helps the batter to stick well to the ingredients. That reminds me also to add a little tang to that dish. We are also going to incorporate some fried lemon slices. So you just want to thinly slice, or I can use a mandolin.
Chef, one of our viewers wants to know what's the purpose of the oil in the batter?
The oil adds it adds a little crispness also. I've always I haven't looked at the chemistry completely, but I've always done from the first time I think I had the most exciting delicious batters in the south of France, and the recipe from there had quite a bit more olive oil in it. So flavor and crispness.
And what kind of oil are you using in the batter itself? In the frying pot itself?
In the fryer, we have at the restaurant we have a blend of rice oil and canola oil, but grapeseed, any
Olive oil.
yeah, any oil that has a higher smoking point that's not going to burn. Although in Liguria, in northern Italy, they'll fry a lot of dishes in straight olive oil because the flavor is there, but it can get expensive and smoked, so you can't reuse it quite as many times. So we have our fava beans here, and also some thin slices of lemon that we're going to fry up in our Frito misto of favas and lemon. So let's just first check the batter with one fava.
Test fry.
Test fry. Color of the bean, so it's not too thick. If it's all completely white, it's probably going to be too thick and doughy. You want to taste the vegetable, not the batter first. Taste the vegetable first. Yes.
And remind us the temperature that you were using
We're aiming for a 350. You notice it's not getting, it's not bubbling quite rapidly yet because the temperature dropped down to about 300. So we're going to give it a second just to come back up. You want to tell us what we're drinking?
Absolutely.
With this while the temperature goes back up.
Okay, we brought a couple wines today, and so we have the 2019 Van Griet, which is about to be released. This is a little bit of a pre-release sneak peek. And then we have the 2016 Estate Chardonnay. Both of these wines, honestly, can go with both the tempura fava bean, or what we're going to end up doing, which is some fava bean and prosciutto on crostini. But there's something about rosé with things that are fried. It's sort of like
It's the best.
yeah, the best. It's like a match made in heaven. So this rosé is really, really fresh. Lots of like fresh nectarine, a little bit of watermelon, a tiny hint of guava. It really feels like a lot of beautiful fresh fruit in a bowl. It's completely dry. There's no residual sugar, lower alcohol, and so it just cuts through anything that's fried and adds this like beautiful yin-yang freshness to the fried food. And there's something about the freshness of fava bean too that I think is really fun with rosé. So this honestly can pair with both. We pulled out our 16 Estate Chardonnay because this is grown from old vines here on our estate. So these vines were planted in 1981. They're old vine, they have a beautiful concentration, beautiful fruit profile. Lots of the typical cooler climate Chardonnay flavors, pear and apple, but also a bit of stone fruit, some really nice weight and complexity. But that being said, this is partial ML. So what that means is without going through full malolactic fermentation, it retains a little bit more acid and retains a little verve and energy on the palate, which is really fun, and yet has the weight from the old vine to pair with prosciutto and a really nice bruschetta. So we brought both of these, and honestly, you probably could do either one of these with either dish. But again, if you're going to try frying something at home, try the rosé. And if you want something that's got a little more weight, like a little more complexity, but still is like a fresh, like beautiful energy, higher acid white wine, this 2016 Estate Chardonnay is going to be perfect for that too. How are we doing, Chef?
We're good. We're almost up temperature, so while we're waiting for the fryer to come up, we're going to, once again, quick demo, just shucking these like peas. After you get them shelled out of the pods, we're going to blanch them in some boiling water, boiling salted water, just for about a minute, and just long enough to be able to pop them out of their shell and cook them a little bit.
There's really nothing like fresh favas.
It's the best.
So good. So
And we have a
good.
little ice water that we're going to dump them into quickly. And I would say the older and larger the favas are, the little longer that you want to cook them. The water, these are very small, so we're just going to cook them very briefly, just about 20 seconds.
And then the ice water stops all the cooking.
Yes. That's called blanching.
Blanching.
Almost there. So I'll show you my preparation here. We have a bowl that we're going to shell our favas into. So while we're doing this, tell us about what we're. Oh, did you tell us already what we're
I
drinking?
did, but I can keep talking wine.
That's
I can
okay.
do that all day. We
So-
have been doing a little bit of Facebook Live out in the vineyard, showing you some of the older vine Chardonnay, showing you the 2020 vintage. So do check out our Facebook page. There's a ton of live video on there. We've been over at Dr. G's vineyard. We've been out through our vineyard in Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. We've had Paul Hobbs here. We ran over to the Hyde vineyard and walked through our Chardonnay block with Chris Hyde. And the Hydes have been growing out here since the 70s. They're so fun. So do check that out if you're interested in the 2020 vintage, if you want to know a little bit about what the vineyard looks like right now. Next week, I'll give you a little sneak peek now. One of Chef Scott's favorite wines is our Pinot Meunier. And Meunier is really interesting. It's kind of the savory cousin to Pinot Noir. So it's all the umami and fresh herb and fun spice and savory notes being front and center with the fruit in the background, which is a little bit of the flip side of Pinot Noir. And so next week we're going to go through the Pinot Meunier vineyard, and the reason that it's called Pinot Meunier, Meunier means miller in French. A miller is somebody who is throwing flour around all day, and in the vineyard during the growing season, the Pinot Meunier looks like you literally took handfuls of flour and threw it over the fresh shoots. And so these shoots grow up and are green in Chardonnay, green in Pinot Noir, and in the Meunier they're covered in like this dusty white, gray, silvery color. And so that's where Meunier, meaning miller, relating to flour, that's where that whole name came from. So kind of fun and exciting. And it's planted in very certain areas of France, typically a blending grape of Champagne. It's incredibly frost tolerant. And Chardonnay and Pinot Noir are not frost tolerant at all. And if you look at some of the videos that we've put up, in fact, the most recent Facebook Live video we did in the vineyard shows a little bit of frost damage and how those new shoots, when you have a frost, will get kind of brown and crispy. But Pinot Meunier has a hardiness to it and rolls through frost a little better. So people tend to plant it in low sections of a vineyard, or what we call a swale between a couple hills or low spots where frost collects, because all that cold frost kind of settles down. So your hillside things tend to be okay, and the things that are lower, you have to really watch during frost nights.
Okay, we're ready to fry.
Let's do it.
So these, you kind of have to do them one by one so you don't get too much of the batter in there.
Give it a shake.
Give it a shake so you keep your oil clean as you can and all the ingredients separated as you're putting them in. Do we have enough to feed everyone here today?
I hope so. We're all gonna go for it.
And as you can see with those, I don't know if you can see into my bowl there, painstaking peeling.
Oh.
These are very young and tender and small. The larger they get, usually the Fava beans you're going to find in the supermarket, they'll be twice, 3 times the size of that. So you won't be shucking nearly as long as I have been here. And while I'm doing this, would you mind finishing shucking those out of there? Towel to dry your hands. And as you're frying larger items, you want to make sure, give them a flip over, get nice and crisp on both sides. With the lemon slices here, I'll be flipping those over. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, thin, fluffy, crunchy crust here. And it is with the cornstarch, which adds to the crispness. It also does lighten the batter in color, so it's not going to be as dark. If you just use flour, you'll notice that the color in the batter is going to brown a lot more.
Cornstarch keeps it kind of light, airy, light in color.
Yeah, light in color and texture. So just looking for with this batter, just looking for a light golden coloring. You can feel, yeah, they're super crispy. Okay. And with this dish, you could just simply have a little wedge of lemon to squeeze, some herbs like we did our Frito Miso last time, or perfect dipping for any fried item as far as I'm concerned. It's just a simple aioli and garlic mayonnaise. We'll do that on our sauce day.
Oh yeah, let's do a sauce day. Love it. Aioli really is the best stuff.
It is.
Makes everything better.
Okay, and just to show briefly, varying it up, we have some cauliflower, a little greens, and once again, coat them lightly in a little flour to help the batter stick to it. So especially with items that are vegetables that are smoother surface, like green beans or asparagus, they need the flour to help the batter adhere, stick to that. So you can have a real Frito misto of vegetables, or just one item, like just the fava beans.
I like those tempura broccolini then too.
Yes.
That's really yummy. It's a nice
Broccoli and
texture.
cauliflower are so good.
Yeah.
Actually, those ones, the green. Keep those moving around. We can plate up our potato here.
I just really like it.
Yeah. And if you're doing so once again, you can garnish that with the little herbs. You have a little fresh mint leaves, and a little flaky sea salt, and some lemon wedges.
And if you've never tried a fried lemon, I think the first time I ever had this sliced fried lemon was probably in the Frito misto at Don Giovanni. It is delicious.
Yes. So there's a fried favas, very special because it's short, very short season. That the favas are young and tender and haven't built up their starchy side.
Yum. And you're saying part of the way you know that you've got favas at the right time is the string.
Oh, it's just the first ones. If you have them in your garden,
Get the first
and then
ones.
as soon as they start
Okay.
coming out, you go and pick them.
Got it.
And yes, you can feel it on the side when you pull off the top stem. As you take it off here, you'll see there's no string. There'll be a string attached to it. That's when it's time to peel
That's
them.
when they get a little
not,
bit,
not do the frying anymore.
Yeah. Got it.
So here's our mixed garden vegetable Frito misto. Two kinds. So we have some of the cabolinero leaves, some broccolini. Also, you could do a little, if we had a grater, a little shaved grated cheese. Here we have a little pecorino, which is preferred, delicious with favas. Or once again, get creative with your dipping sauces, your condiments that you have. Explore your condiments and create your own sauce. Remember, write it down so you can do it again next time. Yes. Okay. So I'll leave these over. I'll trade with you so
Almost done. All right, let's
you
switch.
can have a taste. That's good enough. So yes. So as you can see, why my prep cooks complain so much about springtime. That's what, about 10 minutes. That's all we got. I need about 5 quarts of that.
This is phenomenal. Oh my god.
Crispy,
So good.
flaky.
With a
Sure.
delicate flavor,
Yes.
fava flavor with this beautiful delightful broth.
So here I'm going to put you to work again while I'm mixing the mixing up our puree. We're going to actually do some bruschetta, which is garlic grilled bread with whatever your schmear accompaniment. So here, let me give it to you. I'm just going to give just a little bit of oil toast them a little on both sides until you got some nice lines there. So we're going to add a little salt and pepper. And remember, when you're seasoning, you can always add more, but you can never take it out. Or you'd have to pick twice as much favas and add more if you over salt. So always start with less and add more as needed when you taste it as you go along. A little olive oil. A little, since we don't imagine a microplaner here for a little lemon zest in our puree. We're going to do some fresh mint. You can also do thyme, and lemon thyme is I also love with the fava beans puree. And a little bit of pecorino here. Once again, it's my zester. Not too much because we don't have a lot of favas here, as you can see. And you can, if you have a KitchenAid, you can just give this a quick pulse, or depending upon or you can just keep it like this for a little vegetable ragu. You can accompany a piece of sauteed fish, or some lamb chops with these little blanched fava beans. Or if you want to spread it on some toast, as we're going to do, you can. Since we don't have a Cuisinart over here, we're going to try and we're just going to smash it up a little bit there.
Push it up a little.
Yeah.
And what fish would you put this on? Like a piece of halibut or some sea bass?
I love it with some wild king salmon. It would be amazing. I remember long ago back at Roast Pistola, we used to do some salmon, wild king salmon, cooked in inside fig leaves, because right about now you have young fig leaves coming out, which are full in flavor before all of the flavor goes into the fruit. I'm going to spoon.
That'd be such a pretty presentation too. These salmon with these beautiful favas over the top.
What we would do, you take the favas and just cook them the way we did, peel them, and fold them into some olive oil mashed potatoes. Just potatoes, some nice yellow potatoes, been boiled, and then drained, and smash it in a bowl with a fork or a whisk, and then grill or roast the salmon wrapped in fig leaves on top of these favas. It's delicious because you have all the flavors of the spring garden. Okay, so we got. You could, if you have more volume of this, you would get it smoother, but it doesn't need to be smooth. It's just to get the flavor, to be able to spread on the toast. Okay, delicious. Okay, how are we looking on toast? We have
Want it a little bit more grilled than that, or?
no, that's good. And then actually on the other side. Yeah. Flip them, give them a little. So for a true bruschetta, we need to rub the toast with garlic. So you just take a clove of garlic, and we'll imagine the other side is crispy. And after it's nice and crisp on the grill, and you want to make sure you cook it long enough that it's not going to fall apart. Yeah. So you get that intense, pungent garlic kick. And now we're just going to lay our favas on here. How are we looking over there? We got that one too. And
Oh, it's beautiful.
okay, that'll be good.
Such a pretty color.
Crispy enough on one
All
side
right,
there.
here we go.
Once again, give it a good rub of garlic. And once again, in your seasonings, don't overpower the favas because they're very, very delicate in flavor. So just a hint of lemon, a hint of cheese, and as you see, we're going to accompany that with with some prosciutto. This one's from La Quercia in the Midwest, America. It's the best tasting domestic one that I've come across.
I'm sorry,
in
say it
large
again.
production.
What's the name?
La Quercia.
La Quercia.
Yes, they use Iberico ham. But you can also do instead of if you didn't want to meat in this, you could also do a little bay shrimp. The little tiny cooked shrimp, peeled shrimp, are a delicious accompaniment to the fava beans. And then we're going to garnish a little arugula. So you got a real pretty springtime, and just a touch more of the cheese garnish on the top, and of course Italian anointing with just a little drizzle of oil. So there's our bruschetta, and once again, if you wanted to, you didn't have a grill and you needed to do some things ahead, you could just cut toasts and bake them in the oven, have them all done ahead of time for a party, so you can have these done ahead of time.
Just to show you
Yes.
what we did here today.
So here we have, so our bruschetta with fava beans, prosciutto, and pecorino. You can also, for a beautiful antipasti, just have bread on the plate. You can have some delicious pecorino and Parmesan cheese. Pecorino, I think, pairs the best with the favas. And crumble that up on the plate. Have a pile of the fava beans. They're peeled, and let people, and also some mixed meat, a little salami, prosciutto. It makes a great springtime antipasti. Yeah. And favas, once again, get creative with your dipping sauces, but I think the simpler the better with the favas, just a straight, simple aioli. But get creative, as you can see, that beautiful, you hear that crust, yeah. And get creative with the vegetables. As we said last week, it's a great way to get your kids to eat vegetables.
Yes.
Right?
And I don't know if everyone heard me last week, but literally the first time my son ever had a green bean was at Don Giovanni in the Frio Misto. And so if you're trying to get kids to eat greens, this is the way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
And remember, sorry, we're two-fisting already.
Two-fisting.
But rosé,
Yes.
a really bright Chardonnay with some lovely acid. Either one of these go really, really well with those beautiful fresh favas. And maybe we lean towards the Chardonnay with the bruschetta.
Yes, with
that
have
prosciutto
the
there.
fat prosciutto, I think, yes.
It's a little,
We go like
little
this.
weightier.
Yes.
So, cheers to you.
And
Cheers to
bon
Chef.
appetit, and look forward to cooking with you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us. Chef Scott Warner is here on Thursdays, so definitely tune in. Don Giovanni has so many iconic recipes, and we absolutely love
And we
learning
want to
about
keep
how
in
to
touch
put it
with you.
together. Yes.
At a safe
Absolutely.
distance. Looking forward to cooking for you all again soon.
Thank you, Chef.
Cheers.
Appreciate it. Cheers. Thank you all for joining in. We'll see you soon.